What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about LiteCoin today, LTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. It is the 13th day of April, and I'm on the monthly chart, but I'd actually like to look at this on a daily chart. Maybe we can work our way out to the monthly chart. 10 hours left in the day, $53 is the price. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. LiteCoin is the definition of sideways price action. We've been moving sideways now since February. Really, you've been moving sideways back to the monthly time frame for years, since June of 2022. And in this sidewaysness, you are certainly at the lower ends of this range. Now, that doesn't mean by default that we're expecting you to come back up here. I'm very surprised that we didn't break out, but again, I think we can attribute that to the fact that Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market entered a bear market. It's hard for anything to break out to the upside when you're in a bear market. Unfortunately, we got the lower end of that stick there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months red in a row. Could this be the 8th month? It is possible. Let's just see here. Looking at this, 1, 2, 3. You've definitely seen more than 8 months in a row before. You definitely have, but it's been some time. It's been some time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The last time that you saw 8 red months in a row, the 8th month was the end of your bear market. It was literally the bear market low. Just to put that in perspective. Even here, you see where it's like a green month? That wasn't actually a green month, guys. That wasn't actually a green month because we closed the month here. We gapped down. It looks green, but you still had, if you look at it here, it says negative 4%, negative 4.5%. It says it right there. So it was a red month overall. So you actually had a ton of red months here in a row. But that was the early days. I'm getting focused on the wrong things. I want to get in the short-term stuff. This is why I wanted to avoid the monthly time frame. And just looking at this here, looking at even, let's say the 1 hour time frame, a little bit of volatility recently. You kind of look like Bitcoin with the short-term stuff. Let's actually look at it on Coinbase. Volume's kind of picking up, interestingly enough, as you're pushing lower. That's probably exactly why you broke out of this range to the downside, where Bitcoin looks like this, and then it's kind of shifting slowly sideways like this, but the volume was dying off. Here, your volume was building, so you pushed lower. That's all fair, but it's not extreme volume. You're getting more volume now on the way up, which is nice to see. We look at our indicators. The RSI got oversold, bearish. Stochastics coming out of the oversold zone, bullish. And the MACD, you do have some bullish divergence of sorts, which is also bullish, but overall bearish environment. Looking at this on the 4 hour time frame, you're crossing below the zero on the 4 hour MACD. That's not good. That could spell trouble over the coming days, maybe even over the next week or two. But that doesn't mean that you're moving down the whole time. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a little leg up before pursuing lower prices. The RSI bouncing off the oversold zone here, 2 hours left. Let's see how this candle closes. If it can close green, that's a good look. But again, don't get excited. That doesn't mean we're off to the races. It just means, maybe what we're seeing is some type of bounce here. Prior support becomes resistance, and then we're working our way down. Right? That's all that I'm saying. Looking at this on the stochastics, we've been oversold for quite some time. We could be oversold for even longer if we really want to, but typically you don't stay oversold this long or longer, so we will likely again see a little bit of recovery here. I really do like this area, this $54.5 area for resistance because it was prior support. I wonder if we put and it was also prior resistance, put this fib on here. $54.5 right there at the golden ratio, so perfect. Makes sense to me. $54.5. We're at $53 right now. You're probably going to move up a little bit. Yeah, makes sense. And then slowly but surely start coming back down. Daily time frame. The daily RSI does look like it wants to come down a little bit too. You kind of broke out of this dynamic here, this like lower high, lower low dynamic, but you didn't do much with it. You just found resistance at prior areas of resistance here, and you're probably going to move back down to this oversold area, if I had to guess. So again, just reinforcing that idea that over the coming days and weeks even, you're probably going to slowly work your way down. Now, that doesn't mean this. That's not what this means. Whenever you were up here and you worked your way down here, you did not just do this. You kind of just, meandered your way down. It can be the same thing, and obviously I would expect that you do see prices then around 51 or even lower. But I didn't mean to draw it like that. I don't think that means that you're breaking out of this to the downside necessarily. It could, but that's not what I'm calling for at the moment. Stochastics look a little bit bearish here. You are at the 50 though, and you're seeing some separation between the blue and the orange line. You probably do tighten up a little bit, see a little bounce, a little bit of recovery being shown here even on the daily time frame. $54.50, maybe $55.50. Nothing crazy. I don't expect you're going to rip through the roof. If you do, good, great. I hope I'm wrong, but that's not my expectation. The MACD here, rejecting the zero once, twice, reject it, come down, and then try to come back up later, maybe this month or early May. But yeah, for the time being, you've just been moving sideways. You try to move up here, it failed, so come back down, find support at the lower ends of this range, probably around, if not below $51, and then we could talk about recovery going into the end of this month or maybe even sometime in May. When recovery happens, and I would assume that there will be some recovery that happens, I don't assume that you're just going to drop through the floor from here, but anything can happen. Whenever the recovery does happen, the expectation, at least from my end, is that we'll see something around $69 in price. It's very common, very, very common with the 382 to wick just above it. So 69, 70 bucks, 71 bucks, something around there could be the case. It's at 68.72. It's also not uncommon in more aggressive moves, which this is pretty aggressive, to reject the 382 directly. So something around 69 bucks to maybe 75 bucks, let's say. I think that's coming. We're at $53 now. Probably move down, $48 at the lowest, $51, somewhere around there, and then up to this $69, $75 area. MACD's crossing green. It's nice. It's nice. Reinforces the idea that we're probably not going to drop through the floor here. There's probably some comeuppance to go. Stochastics coming out of the oversold zone, same thing. RSI flirting with the oversold zone. You've rejected it now twice. Even through this rejection, you haven't seen the rejection move. So again, you're doing bearish things. You're not getting bearish results. That's actually a positive thing. I think you're due for some relief. I'm not expecting that relief to be extreme by any degree. But let's say it is more extreme than I'm giving it credit for. Maybe you don't stop at the 382. Maybe you go all the way up to the golden ratio. That'd be a $89 to $97 price. And that potential is there as well. I'm not betting on that. That's not my call. But anything and everything technically between 68 bucks to 97 bucks is fair game. Above that, we have to wait and see how we react with the golden ratio before we start getting like that. But I think it's probably more likely that we will inevitably see lower lows from here after forming a lower high. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.